Yeah, we back. Y'all know how we do, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love.
Show for Chicago sports.
Talk a little Chicago Bears football, huh? On today's show, we got to talk about Jeremy Fowler believing that the Chicago Bears are the favorites to get Trey Smith. We also got to break down something that Field Yates said on the same topic as well. Very exciting times around Chicago if you're a fan of Trey Smith, possible. And then the Chicago Bears getting a few more coaching interviews in today. OSU O-line coach coming in for the job. Is he the guy that the Bears need to go after? And they bring in David Blau. Remember him? For possible passing coordinator. We'll talk about all that and more on today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Hey, it's an evening show, but the date's 1/29/2025. It's 5:32 in the evening. And I'm starting to feel like we may be back up. Let's go! Big vibes. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Stop playing with your boy out here, man. Go ahead and
come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push a button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, man. Stop playing with your boy. Appreciate you guys for rocking with us. As always, a lot of conversation to get to today. So why don't we go ahead and get to it? Shout out to the chat in the building. Who are we got in the chat in this month, man? Who are we got in the chat in this month? It's Crimson in the building, as always. YouTube in the building said we need these O-line infinity stones. I'm there with you, man. I'm there with you. D-Lab in the building. KD in the building. Says solo show, let's get it. Castleberry in the building. Trey Smitty. Big Trey Smitty action. CJ in the building over on the Twitter side. Baki in the building. What's up, Pat? Did you also see in the same report they talked about the Bears and Drew Dahlman as well? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. LaShush Leftfoot said, this brother got more glasses than a little bit. Hey, listen. Don't worry about how many pairs of glasses I got. Sometimes you got to pop out and show, you know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta switch it up. You know what I mean? No, I try to match it up. I try to keep it the same out here, same. You know what I mean? Let's talk a little football, though. Let's talk a little football because I thought this was very interesting to start the show off with. The Trey Smith conversation continues to heat up. Heard Field Yates, I believe he was on Carmen and Yurko talking about the Trey Smith situation and saying, listen, he's not reporting anything, but... which is always my favorite thing when big name reporters do that. Listen, I'm not saying that I believe anything, but what I have heard. All right, dog. Like now you've got us tingly. You know you got us excited. Stop playing with us. So he says he hasn't heard anything, but come on. The connection between Trey Smith and the Chicago Bears is there. Ryan Poles, of course, being on that staff that selected Trey Smith in the 6th round. Also, the fact that the Bears have a lot of money to offer to Trey Smith. Now, real question is Trey Smith going to be a big enough believer in this Chicago Bears situation to come in here and try and help Caleb Williams out? Does he believe in Caleb Williams enough to win? Does he believe in Ben Johnson's system? Who the heck is the O-line coach? We'll talk about all that today as well. But I think it starts here, right? When you talk about going out and getting Trey Smith, Jeremy Fowler talked about it. He said, some inside the league are watching Chicago here. General manager Ryan Poles, who needs to drastically improve his offensive interior line for new coach Ben Johnson, was in Kansas City when the Chiefs drafted Smith. Several teams have him as a top overall free agent. The conversation there is so big when you talk about going out because you're setting the market on a player. You're looking to go out and basically set the future of the guard market to protect young Caleb Williams. Now, this is a little bit different than what we've seen. There've only been 4 guards in the NFL to cross that $20 million mark. Landon Dickerson, Chris Lindstorm, Quentin Nelson, and Robert Hunt are the only who have reached the $20 million mark. You would expect that Trey Smith would also get there as well. In fact, according to Pro Football Focus, but fifth, signing Trey Smith will probably cost around $21 million a year, with a total contract worth $80 to $85 million, with over half guaranteed. Now, to me, I think with the Super Bowl championship on the books, I think with the possibility and the accolades that could come from that, I think with the fact that you continue to see him do a phenomenal job, and on the other side of the ball, you're seeing what great guards in the middle can do as Saquon Barkley marches untouched down the sidelines, just right up the middle, and then just wherever he wants to go. I think that you're seeing this guard market really change drastically, and that's one thing to me that I think the Bears are not going to benefit from, but you're getting one of those top guys. You're getting one of those big name guys. You're getting one of those major pieces to come in and protect your quarterback, and I think that's the part that you really need to look at with this. If you're talking about bringing in Trey Smith, while it is an overpay for the guard position, guess what? You know why you're overpaying? Because you underpaid before. This is what happens when you try to go cheap. And y'all know on this show, I was the biggest defender of Nate Davis after that initial season. Why? We know about the passing of his mom and what that can do to somebody. I do think it affected how he played football. We know what came. I sat here the entire offseason and said, give this man grace. He has talent. We will see what happens when the next training camp comes around. The next training camp came around. I saw some of the weakest effort from a guard I've ever seen. The funniest thing is me sitting next to a couple of beat reporters and just watching him do the battle ropes like he's trying to get himself back. And I mean, literally just, meh. I've said this a few times. This is nothing new. But that position cost $10 million. You underspent at that position. Now you got to pay the price on the other end of that. That's what happens when you underspend. That's what happens when you don't go all in. You pay the price. Now you're paying the price on the flip side of this, and guess what? It's going to cost you a pretty penny for that guard position. Now, the good thing about Trey Smith, at least, is that when you look at his numbers, and we've talked about him a couple of times here, I mean, what he's done this season has been nothing short of amazing. Pass blocking grade of 70, run blocking grade of 80, 4 per 5, and you can see it in the actual play on the field, not just looking at the per fifth numbers. Season stats, I mean, he did 0 sacks allowed, did take 9 penalties this season, but 0 sacks allowed on Patrick Mahomes. He is literally the best guard in the NFL right now. You have to pay that money for a guy like that. And hearing that the Chicago Bears are favored to get him and feeling like, I think that, here's the thing, Bears fans, and hit the like button if you agree. Feeling like they may actually spend it this time. That's been my biggest issue with Ryan Poles. Everybody was, I see all the comments of people who are like, Pat, oh my God, you were one of Poles. Remember when Caleb got sacked and you said fire Poles, and then you were on the fire Poles rant for 3 weeks, and then we kept him and he got the guy he wanted. Remember all of that? And I go, yes, I remember it. And I give him credit for it. But what I didn't forget is him underpaying the offensive line. What I didn't forget is him leaving Caleb Williams out to dry, thinking that Braxton Jones was an elite left tackle. Again, I don't care what Pafif says. I can see him. What I didn't forget is that Coleman Shelton is a beetling turtle in the middle of the field just about every time he snaps the ball. What I didn't forget is that you believe that the injured guy in Tevin Jenkins was going to be good enough out there on the left side. What I didn't forget is that you thought Ryan Bates was going to be the answer on the right side. Actually, you thought he was going to be the answer at center. Then you moved him to the right side. He couldn't even get on the field, and you traded for him. I didn't forget any of that. That's what I didn't forget. And so, yes, it is a surprise for me seeing Ryan Poles willing to actually invest in the most important part on the field. So excuse me, but I can compartmentalize things. I can look at the Ben Johnson situation and say, hey, guess what? This is a great move by Ryan Poles. Those moves sucked. Just like you want to know what it equates to for me? I'm going to be honest with you. The Chicago White Sox have had a really good offseason. They still suck. They're still coming off being the worst team in the MLB. They're still coming off being the worst team in baseball history. I didn't forget that. But I actually can look at some of the moves this team made this offseason and go, oh, that was nice. I actually like that. Oh, solid manager hire. Oh, the White Sox did that? I will then criticize them when they suck again this season. You have to live in the moments. And when you live in the moments, you can look at what Ryan Poles has done and say, that was bad. And then you can come back around and look at this team right now and look at this coaching staff right now and say, this is different. That is good. Now I want to see how committed he is to this coaching staff. Because you want to know what? The moves that he made previously tells me he wasn't committed to Matt Eberflus that much. There's no way you were committed to Flus and you believed that he was going to come in here and develop a young quarterback with Ryan Bates, Braxton Jones, Coleman Shelton, Nate Davis, and Darnell Wright. Oh, and Tevin Jenkins. How could you? How could that be something that you believed? I came into the season going, I don't know about this offensive line, dog. You're going to spend money at some point? So guess what? Now you got to pay for it on the back end. Now you're in year 4 of this thing. $25 million to Trey Smith. Shouldn't even blink an eye at it. Shouldn't even blink an eye at it. Is it going to work? I don't know. People come here and it usually doesn't. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that's not a move I don't want to see the Bears do. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like that's not where I want to see the Bears go. So we'll see what they end up doing. I like the opportunity. I like that the Bears are at least believed to be favored. I believe even in Vegas, they're favored to possibly sign Trey Smith this offseason. So a lot of good things. Again, I'm still in the camp of I don't know if Kansas City's letting them go. Everybody keeps going, oh my goodness, you can't not pay for, or they don't have the money to pay them. They'll never make it work. Teams find ways. Teams find ways often. Hey, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We're going to keep the conversation moving along because we still got a lot to get into. Chicago Bears go out and interview. This happened today, by the way. This is not one that is scheduled. This happened today. Ohio State O-line head coach Justin Fry for the O-line job. He's been in the college ranks since 2007 after a playing career at Indiana Tulane. O-line coach Dan Rochar also expected to interview for the job. Rochar has a 10-year run as a coach with the Saints. Remember, we talked about Dan Rochar the other day on the Morning Breeze. I like both of these names. Here's the thing. Number one, when you look at Dan Rochar coming in, I think that, by the way, that was by Brad Biggs that tweeted that out. When you look at Dan Rochar, to me, skins on the wall, guy who's got experience in this league, a guy who is developed in the NFL, now at Tulane. I think that to me probably is my number one candidate, but I do like the Justin Fry get. If you were to get him, I like the fact that you're looking to interview him, and I think for a little bit of a different reason. You've got a guy who is working with some of these young guys in college, coming out of college. There's that pipeline there. You've got a guy who has coached guys who were recruited to that program for the next few years. There's a pipeline there at Ohio State. He's also going to know the guys who are the up and coming to keep an eye on, to take a look. Hey, watch this guy. You know what I mean? He was really good. He's also good because he's coming from college. And not to say that Rashard will not, but Tulane, very different than Ohio State. Let's keep it a buck. Tulane, a very different college than Ohio State. There's going to be guys that he scouted. There's going to be guys he evaluated. There's going to be guys he tried to get in the room that maybe didn't want to go to Ohio State. There's going to be guys that he worked with trying to run through drills and stuff like that, that he liked, that maybe didn't end up choosing Ohio State in the long run. There's a pipeline there. I like going and getting the college offensive line coach who has some experience, who has some understanding in the NFL. Again, he played offensive line. I think that this is a good route that the Bears are looking. There's a lot of good names that are on the list for some of these offensive line coaches. I've thrown Joe Philbin out there as well. I've thrown Mike Munchak out there as well. Like, I like the names that the Bears are looking at here for the offensive line, because all of these guys, number one, we know that they've developed. I mean, in college, it's all about development, right? Literally, it's just develop guys, figure it out, develop the next guy, figure it out, develop the next guy. And you have to do it quicker in college than maybe you have to do in the pros. So maybe something there that can translate. I also look at this as a situation, though, where to me, going out and getting a guy like Justin Fry, like I was saying, you've got that pipeline, you've got the guys at Ohio State. What does it mean if you get them in the room here with the Bears? What about the guy that maybe is the underlooked at guy that's going to go in the third or fourth round, or the senior that wasn't good enough to go until his senior year? Those are the guys that good O-line coaches can identify. Those are the guys that when you see him, you go, okay, I see what he can do. You've got a few years of that already built in. I'm here for that. I'm here for that. I love that kind of name being mentioned here with the Chicago Bears, and hopefully that's somebody that, to me, this is one where I wouldn't be mad if you got him in the building and immediately we're like, this is the guy that we want. I also love how Ben Johnson is building this team. I've said this a couple of times, but it feels like you're building this team with the mindset of this is going to be something for years to come. We're going for the younger guys. That screams out to me when you look at the Bears going after David Blau, who I'm going to be honest with you, had no clue David Blau was coaching now. I could have sworn he was still a backup quarterback. Mike Garofalo put this out, said Commanders assistant quarterback coach David Blau has a request from the Jets to interview for their QB coach job, as well as a request from the Bears for the passing game coordinator. Sources say Blau, 29, is garnering attention only 1 year into his coaching career. I really want to know what the conversation is now. Again, remember, Blau was with the Lions 2019 to 2021, so has some experience being with the Lions. He was as a player now in this situation. Also was on the practice squad in 2023. So those two kind of connections, spending some time with Ben Johnson in both of those situations. I think that Ben Johnson probably saw David Blau as one of those guys who was the quarterback, saw it on the field, could quickly relay the information to, and dare I say, maybe there's something with a relationship that he saw what David Blau meant to Jared Goff in his time there, and helping him figure out the system, helping him figure out, okay, this is what you want to do. This is how you want to play. This is how you want to make this work. I like the fact that you're going and getting former guys that have played the game to come in as your coaches. I think this would be a solid get for the Bears. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm going to overinflate the passing game coordinator, but I like guys who have been in the room, that understand the process, and to me, that also understand what the coach is asking for. This guy played under Ben Johnson in some capacity, right? Even if it's just one season with the Lions, I believe in 2021, and right, a off season or a practice squad stint in 2023. This guy understands the message that Ben Johnson is trying to put out there. He understands what Ben Johnson expects of his players. He's a standard setter. I love that. Same reason I love a hire like Antoine Randall. I love that the same reason I like a hire like Al Harris, right? Guys who have been a part of the game that just know, okay, this is what we're expecting. Randall even more so. Now I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything about Blau as a head coach. I like the idea of what could come with him. Or I'm sorry, as a head coach, as a passing game coordinator, I like the idea of what could come with him. I think there is something to be said about him helping relay information. Clearly, he was there with Jaden Daniels. And as a assistant quarterbacks coach, don't know how much of that work he actually was putting in with the quarterbacks coach and stuff like that. Maybe he was more hands-on with Jaden, maybe not. I'm not going to sit here again. I'm not going to pretend that I know every bit of whereabouts that David Blau has had over the past 10 years. But the one thing that I do like, again, is that you're getting guys coming in from proven situations. Say what you want about him. He can say, I was there when Jaden Daniels' rookie year started, and he looked phenomenal. I was a coach on that team that helped Jaden Daniels develop, and he looked good. So I like that we're going and getting guys again with skins on the wall. The O-line coach, again, probably the biggest news of the day. Got to see what this Bears team is going to do at that O-line coach. Again, I keep saying this. I said this on the Chicago Bears podcast today as well. It's hilarious to me that we are probably the only city that is all in on the O-line. Like, who's coaching the O-line? Somebody tell me who's coaching the O-line. But in the long run of this, I think that the biggest takeaway from all of this is Ben Johnson is trying to build a long-term staff. He's trying to build a staff that isn't going to be a one-hit and quit kind of staff. It isn't going to be a pop-up year staff. That is clear to see. I see that with Dennis Allen. The Dennis Allen hire, this guy's been a head coach twice, probably not getting another look at head coach for a long time at a minimum. If he does get another look at head coach, he's failed in both situations. Defenses have looked good. Bring him in as a DC. Boom. I love that. Antoine Randall, assistant head coach. This is as high as you can get. The only next step for you, my guy, is head coach. If you become a head coach, God bless. I hope you do become a head coach. But you're going to be here with me probably till you do. And I'm glad to have you here. I love how we're putting this staff together. Feels like long-term coaches for long-term success. Now it's got to play out on the field. It all sounds good on paper. Everything sounds good on paper. How can you make it play out on the field? That's the biggest question at the end of the day on this. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I know this is a little bit shorter than what we normally do for the daily show, but I'm home alone, playing daddy daycare. Can't leave her too long before I start to wonder if things are trouble. So I'm going to go check on baby girl. Also may have some major news and may not be doing a show tomorrow. So we will see about that, but everything is good. Love you guys. Bear down. One love. If you haven't done so, if you are a Bulls fan and you want daily Bulls news, I have taken over the Chicago Bulls Breeze channel. I have started posting on there daily. I'm also back on Locked On Bulls if anybody wants to go over there as well. We're back live Monday through Friday. Me and Hayes were just arguing about whether the Vooch trade was a good trade. So if you're a Bulls fan and you want to tap in with our Bulls content, check out the Chicago Bulls Breeze. Of course, me and JC and the team also talk it over here. But y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bed down. One love. Peace.